what should a good technician at any given point in time think? And the irony of it all is when we were going through that crisis, we should have all been thinking, first off, 50% rule over a 52-week range. So that's kind of like there. Oh, what a surprise. I mean, I'm not, first and foremost, that was a rally back to $40. Yeah. I remember I was like, well, I want to invest in the new technology, new generation, new millennium, blah, 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 blah. But ironically enough, oil didn't really go anywhere, and probably off of the entire range, that's an even better one, but that's over a year. I think on balance, what you really should concentrate on is that 52-week range. Really powerful. And sure enough, look at that. Almost spot on. And like I said, that was the very first technical lesson I ever learned back in the 1980s, the 50% rule. And I tell you, it works pretty darn good. And actually, speaking of which, first question, what was the price that Larry Fink said in that interview that he thought that was fair value for crude oil now? If you didn't watch that interview, I don't know how you would know that, but just take a guess. Mr. Fink said that $70 to $75 he thought was fair value. And lo and behold, look what happens if we go 50% rule. Do you see why Mr. Fink said that? It's not rocket science. I mean, that's the irony of it all. In a weird sort of way, can you guys see two reasons for a trade starting to build? Return to the 50% rule, return to value. It's not rocket science. That's the irony of all this. The only problem is we got some stupid madman in Eastern Europe causing trouble, so we don't know where the hell the top is. But what's fascinating is he said $75. Look how high we have to take the market. So we could actually take the market, let's say $75.99, right? So it's technically still correct. We can take the market all the way up to $135 a barrel here. So that's another $15, $20 higher here. No problem. And we still just come back to that shelf. And in a weird sort of way, is there any cryptocurrencies that went zooming up and we were like, oh boy, look at the profile. Looks like a big D, and we're going to have to come back and bang off of the shelf. You ever heard me talk about that before? What cryptocurrency have I gone on at length about recently that did and has now done this, gone up and went bang right off the damn value level? So the irony of it all is you can, all of them. Good answer, Cole. I swear, Cole, you got such a cool spirit. I like your spirit. Stay salty, my friend. Stay salty. All right. So the point of the matter here is I don't think crude's done by a long shot. And unfortunately, you can see where it's coming back to. And I thought it was just interesting doing 50% rules. What a surprise. There's basically 50% of our current range. So why would Mr. Fink say that $75 is fair value? Well, because I think it's just simply the top of value, and it is a 50% correction of this current range. So, in a weird sort of way, you see how we should have been looking at least for $81 on this thing. Isn't that incredible? Look at this. That low there. 50% roll, $92. Sure enough, actually went much beyond that. So it just this, if you see a chart that looks like that, especially off a weekly chart, right, what you actually have to be thinking of is, okay, when does this thing come back to the 50%? Somebody's asking me to do chaos off of this low. I mean, there's that there. Gives you that. Interesting. Did we just top out? We might have. And I often see markets stall out at 877s. So it wouldn't surprise me. Interesting, too, how this 877, all you see is a wick in here. What I've also noticed, too, is the market really wants to close up in this area. So probably if that is a top, it's going to look something along those lines. Also, too, here's an interesting question for you. Is this seasonally a good time of year to invest in energy? Right. In fact, you can listen to me. This is a really cool site that I love to have up. It just helps you sort of position yourself correctly. And we go down here to crude oil, and you can see that May 21st, that's the summer driving season, all the way to June 21st. So in a weird sort of way, we're in a funny little window here. Once we get through the end of June, we should be entering into another favorable season. Now, why would energy prices stay firm through here? Any ideas? Any guesses? Let's see if anybody has any idea. Why would energy prices be firm through this August period here? Answer is, I'll save you some time. No, hurricane season. So this is especially end of July, right into early August. That's when the hurricanes really start up in earnest. And then we sort of get a pretty good read for what the end of the summer looks like, hurricane wise. Then once we get through the end of August, that's usually when the hurricane season sort of trails off, and crude oil prices actually shift. There's a period where, and really you can see, this is really driven by the driving season, the driver demand. But also, too, this year, we've talked about it. What we really should be watching if you're an energy bull is we should be watching, where the hell is it? Unleaded gasoline. And unfortunately, Andre, if you want to try and pick a top in crude, I think what you really want to do is you want to try and pick a top in this unleaded. So you can see boom, 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 boom. We're coming up into those objectives. This is the start of the summer driving season, right? The end of May, beginning of June. This should theoretically be a seasonal top. Do we get some sort of insane blow off top here, though, to go up and hit that Foggenbaum level? Maybe. Tough to say. I don't know. Could we hit this 2.618 and then actually back off and come back and retest the original breakout level through that seasonal troughing window? And then once we get into the end of June here, then we actually pivot back up for the next leg higher. I could see that. That wouldn't surprise me. So long and short of it here, from a gasoline perspective, we are coming into what I would consider technical objectives, A, B, C, Ds, and foggy boggies. And if anything, what should happen here, probably the tell is actually, maybe I'll ask you guys, what do you think the tell is that we're probably actually going to stall out here at this 2.618? How about a divergence? So we look at the indicators. You can see as we're pushing up into this 2.618, MACD is not making a new high. Willie is officially stupid. RSI is not topped out yet, though. I probably want to wait for that RSI to roll over here. But you can see buying volume is still pretty strong, but let's see. 79,556, 82,000. So we haven't topped out on the volume, but we are way off of these highs. That was 98. That was 106. So with this 82, what that means is if we see an up bar that's lower than whatever the smallest green bar is here, this bull market's over. So that is, it's either this one, 26,000, or this one, 25,828. Notice this week so far, we've done 23,000. Oh, no, that's a daily chart. All right. So interestingly enough, do you see, what did I say this number was? 25,828. We're at 11 o'clock. We know this market closes in about an hour or two, and we're at 23,606. This thing has to do another 2,000 contracts here before the end of the day, or we're actually going to get a volume impetus sell signal. Well, we wouldn't get a volume impetus sell signal, but what we'll get is a volume impetus the bulls have fallen asleep signal, which means you definitely should not buy. Now, remember we were talking about volume profile. Should you ever come in and buy a profile that looks like that? Where are we likely to pull back to? I'm thinking value high here. This looks like it's definitely got some unfinished business. Then, of course, here is the POC all the way down here. So if we start drawing some fibs, let's see what that implies. Isn't that funny how that lines up? What was I just babbling about there endlessly for the past half hour, 45 minutes? Number one rule that I learned as a new technician is the 50% rule. And interestingly enough, I don't know whether you can see this or not, but what's that on the price chart? And about how often does this get filled in? And if you're looking for edge in the marketplace, that's not a bad edge. So would it be a good idea to come in and get too aggressive on the long side on unleaded gasoline here? I don't think so.